Hello guys. Welcome to my channel. So in today update, Keshav attempt to stab Kalyani from back with a knife, and also Atharv go meet Malhar at police station, and tell everyone that Malhar is a corrupt policeman, so make sure you watch the videos all to the end to find out what really happened next. Subscribe, if you are new here, and click on the notification bell to get notified for more updates like this. Anupriya reads the chit leaving by Keshav asking her to meet at the well. She recalls Keshav's attempt to kill Kalyani. She comes to the well. Keshav says you can't save Kalyani for forever. She says he will come to my hand one day. Anupriya gives him sweets. Keshav says I know that you will remember. He asks if there is any poison in the sweets and says you can do anything to save her. Anupriya says this sweet doesn't have the poison, but I will forget everything to save my daughter. Keshav says you don't have any strength to forget everything. She asks Keshav to promise that he will not do anything to Kalyani. Keshav refuses and goes. Kalyani thinks she didn't think that the day will be so interesting. Malhar comes home. Kalyani asks if he knows. Malhar says I know iron shelf was about to fall on you. Kalyani says he is not concerned. She tells him that Aai took care of her and saved her. Malhar gives her ointment to be applied to her and says he went to doctor. He asks her to keep the money which they have taken from Atharv's factory. He gets a call and goes. Kalyani takes out money from the money bag and looks on. Anupriya comes to Ao Sahib and sees her crying. She says if you get weak then who will give us strength? Ao Sahib says I have failed today and says my business stopped, and my heart is broken. She says I am more pained with Sampada's words. Kalyani comes there and says no business will get closed. She gives the money bag to Ao Sahib and says Malhar gave. She thinks if I told the truth, then Ao Sahib will not take the money. Next morning, Malhar is getting ready and asks Kalyani to give him handkerchief. Mokesh is crying as Kalyani is lost in thoughts and not feeding him. Malhar asks where is your concentration? Kalyani says she is worried about her exams. He asks what happened, and says you talk so much. She says she is feeling weakness. Malhar says milk. Kalyani says I will drink Moksh's milk. Malhar takes the bottle out and wipes milk from her forehead. He tells that courier guy will come and give Anupriya's pics. He asks her to receive it. He asks her to keep the money bag safe and says nobody shall know. Anu comes to Keshav and asks him not to harm her daughter, else she will not see his face. Keshav threatens her and says you can't stop me, and says I will take revenge from Kalyani and then with the person who has separated us. He says then I will take you very far from here, and you can't stop me. Anupriya thinks how to stop Keshav and save Kalyani. Kalyani tells Mokesh that once Ao Sahib returns the money to her, then she will tell truth to everyone. Keshav comes to house in disguise of a courier guy and recalls taking courier from the courier guy. Kalyani hears him and tells Mokesh that I's pics have come. She happily comes to take the pics. Keshav is holding the small knife or sharp instrument and is about to stab Kalyani, when Aparna comes and takes papers from Kalyani's hand. Anupriya comes there. Keshav goes. Aparna says she will see the courier. Kalyani says it is Malhar's confidential papers. Aparna opens the envelope and the pics falls down, but she don't see her pics. Kalyani takes the pics and acts to talk to Malhar. Aparna gets tensed and goes. Anupriya asks if it is criminal's pics. Kalyani says yes and says she will give to Malhar. Atharv brings a rally with Malhar's big pic and says he is a corrupt policeman. He tells the people that Malhar is a corrupt policeman. Kalyani asks them to stop his drama. Atharv tells Malhar that if he doesn't know that the police shall not take the seized money home, and shows the receipt saying that the money which he seized is white. He asks him to return his money. He tells slogans against Malhar. Kalyani gets tensed. Ao Sahib starts her factory. Anupriya thinks don't know why Kalyani went to police station. Malhar comes home and takes the money bag from Almari. He opens it and couldn't find the money. He thinks where the money goes from bag. Atharv comes with the rally and tells that corrupt Malhar. He asks Anupriya and Kalyani to call Malhar. And says I will not leave until I get money from Malhar. Kalyani says Malhar didn't steal any money. The people get angry on them. Atharv says Malhar is very corrupt, but I am a good man. Malhar comes to Kalyani and asks where is the man, and asks who can take out the money from the Almari. Kalyani gets tensed. Atharv telling the people that he is an ordinary man and gave bribe to Malhar before, but now he can't give him any more bribe. People tell that they shall beat Malhar. Malhar says I didn't take money from him, and says he don't do wrong with his police uniform. Sampada shows the pic in which Atharv is offering money to Malhar. Malhar recalls Atharv's drama to offer him money which they had stolen from Malhar. The people start pelting stones on Malhar and others, and start breaking things. Anupriya says Malhar can't do this. Kalyani tries to protect her, when someone throws stone on her. Malhar fires his bullet in air. Atharv says now see how Aurangabad Singham stoops low. He asks Malhar to shoot at him. Malhar plays the recording which he had recorded while Atharv trying to give him money. He asks Sampada to take a pic now, and tells that it is good that he don't trust them. Pawar comes there. Malhar asks them to arrest Atharv's men. Atharv asks him to give his money. Sampada says Kalyani gave that money to Ao Sahib and says you all are together. Malhar says if you accuse Kalyani wrongly then nobody will be bad than me. Sampada asks Ao Sahib to say. Pallavi says Kalyani gave money to Ao Sahib and told that Malhar gave. Malhar asks Kalyani from where she got the money to be given to Ao Sahib, and says he trusts her and wants to know the truth. Anupriya tries to speak. Malhar says I want to hear from Kalyani only. He takes her inside and says don't force me to lower in front of Atharv. He says I know that you didn't steal that money and asks him to tell from where the money came from. Kalyani says I didn't take that money and can't tell from where I got money to give to Ao Sahib. Malhar asks her to tell. Atharv and Sampada come inside. Atharv asks Malhar why his all wives betray him. Anupriya calls insurance agent and he tells that Kalyani took the money which Madhuri kept for her. Kalyani asks why did you tell this? Anupriya tells Malhar that Ao Sahib would never have accepted it. Ao Sahib gets upset and goes. Kalyani runs behind her and asks her to listen. Ao Sahib asks her to move back and calls her illegitimate. He calls her illegitimate repeatedly and says we hurt you by saying this word might be piercing your heart like a knife, and says if the legitimate relations are such then illegitimate relations are not bad. She says she has done so much for legitimate Sampada, but she insulted them so much. She says we have done so much bad to you and always protected and respect our relation. She says your life was in danger too, and says you have handed over your everything to us, which your AAI kept for you, and was ready to face Malhar's anger silently. She cries. Anupriya says you shall feel proud to have such a granddaughter who will never make your head down. Kalyani says Ao Sahib. Ao Sahib says I can't look in her eyes. Kalyani says I will not go anywhere. Ao Sahib says if it is necessary to prove every time that you are my blood. Kalyani and Ao Sahib hug each other. Atharv asks what a family drama and asks about his money. Ao Sahib says today they will get advance and asks him to keep that, but not to harass Malhar and Kalyani. Vivek comes and tells that the Sahukar was fake and gave fake order, and now refusing. Ao Sahib feels drowsy and sits. She blames Atharv. Atharv says I would have helped you, but Malhar had stolen all my money. Malhar comes near Atharv and hugs him. He says I am feeling very bad that you have a big loss. He says I will find the real thief. He says that notes were having chemical on it, and says I know that few people have the habit of touching the notes and counting, by licking the fingers putting in the mouth. He says he will put the torch and the guilty will be found. He asks Atharv to open his mouth and checks, but Atharv is not the one. Atharv says I want my money. Pallavi says she has to wash the utensils. Malhar says nobody can go, until fully checked. Pallavi pretends to faint. Atharv asks Vivek to call doctor. Kalyani says why to waste money and says she knows how to make the unconscious gain consciousness and says she will get consciousness when I will make her smell cow dung smeared slipper. Pallavi gets up. Kalyani asks her to act something else. Atharv says I was worried. Malhar says do I need to check you, or will you accept to steal that money on Atharv's sayings? Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and click on the notification bell to get notified for more updates like this. Like, comment and share. Fearless.